brothers and sisters, there have been numerous Eucharistic miracles throughout history that have highlighted the sacredness of the consecrated host. These miracles have been embraced by the faithful without any doubt as confirmation of the real presence of the body and blood of Christ in the Eucharist. However, today, thanks to the advancement of technology and science, it has become possible to analyze and study these miracles, leading to a better understanding of the phenomenon. The conducted analyses have revealed such astonishing results that even men of science are left speechless. Before we proceed, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and become part of the community of faith and prayer. Cardiologist Franco Serafini has recently published the book, A Cardiologist Visits Jesus, Eucharistic Miracles Tested by Science. I highly recommend purchasing this book. In the book, Dr. Serafini retraces the major Eucharistic miracles, using the language of science. He examines 5 Eucharistic miracles: the miracles of Lanciano, Buenos Aires, Tixtla, Solkolka, and Legnica. These miracles occurred in different historical periods, countries, and continents far apart from one another. All the miracles, except for the one in Lanciano, which took place in the 8th century, are relatively recent. However, in the 1970s, the Franciscans conducted rigorous scientific studies on the relic they had been preserving for centuries, aiming to dispel any doubts they had. These miracles, excluding the case of Lanciano that occurred during consecration, happened after a consecrated host was accidentally dropped on the ground or rendered unusable for various reasons. In such cases, the Church doctrine prescribes a specific procedure, which involves placing the particle in a container of water and leaving it there until it completely dissolves, a process that usually takes a few days. However, it is precisely during this step that the miraculous sign has occurred repeatedly. Instead of dissolving, the consecrated host has transformed into flesh and blood. But what emerged from the scientific studies? In all cases, it has been observed that the host transformed into cardiac tissue. However, what is even more astonishing, as Dr. Serafini tells us, is that the analyzed myocardial tissue exhibits a unique characteristic. On one hand, fragmentation and segmentation of the fibers, and on the other hand, infiltration of leukocytes. In other words, the suffering of Jesus during the Passion is confirmed by precise anatomopathological findings, from which diagnostic hypotheses can be deduced. Furthermore, the examined leukocytes are active, indicating that the tissue, at the time of sampling, was still alive. This is a scientifically inexplicable result. Leukocytes cannot survive in water for more than a few minutes, yet the tissue was preserved in water without nutrients for a long time. Dr. Serafini states that based on this data, it is possible to affirm that the cardiac tissue was characterized not so much by a heart disease or an infarction caused by coronary defects, but rather by severe stress damage mediated by catecholamines. In other words, the cardiac tissue exhibits elements commonly found in biopsies or autopsies of patients who have experienced severe psychological, pharmacological, or traumatic distress. For example, victims of a plane crash or death row inmates. Scientific analyses confirm what the Gospel has been telling us for thousands of years: the death of Jesus caused by violent traumas that induced a state of intense stress. Equally astonishing is the analysis of the blood type. In all the studied cases, the same blood type was found, blood type AB. As mentioned, these findings come from periods and places that are very distant from each other. And while this is already a statistically significant coincidence, it is even more exceptional to note that blood type AB is the same blood type identified on the Holy Shroud, the Sudarium of Oviedo, and the Tunic of Argenteuil. These ancient relics make it impossible to attribute their origin to a forger, as blood types were completely unknown at that time. It is a truly miraculous coincidence that often does not receive the proper attention it deserves. Recent scientific studies on Eucharistic miracles confirm the transformation of the consecrated host into human cardiac muscle, verify the cause of death resulting from torture and violence, and identify the same blood type. Dear brothers and sisters, scientific studies confirm everything that the Gospels have been transmitting for over 2,000 years. Eucharistic miracles remind us of the sacredness of the host and the real presence of Christ. Let us know in the comments what you think, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on new videos. See you soon.